So today's video is totally different from the content which I usually talk about. I always talk about financial education, but today I thought let me share on how I started my online business and how is it working for me and how I earn money from it. There's no use in me always talking about how to manage money, how to invest, how to save money, but if there's no ways that you're earning money for yourself. So today, I said let me just get into today's video and let me talk about how I started my online business and how was I able to grow it even during a pandemic and become the most profitable time of my business. So let's get into today's video, but please do ensure that you subscribe to my YouTube channel, you click the like button and you leave me a comment so that we can grow this online YouTube family that I'm trying to build and we reach 3,000 subscribers. So let's get into today's video. Hello guys, I'm Ivan Sambo, and as per always, we talk about financial education, we talk about self-development, and we talk about law. Today we are touching on self-development. Today we're touching on the entrepreneurial of self-development and how I started my business and how I managed to grow it even during a pandemic and become one of the most profitable season of my business during a pandemic, and how I do it online and only paying 79 rand per month. 79 rand per month to run my business and make so much money and make thousands from it. I am sharing those ways on how I'm doing it. So for those of you who do not know, I run an online influencer managing agency. It's called Open Campus. Basically, Open Campus is a student-based influencer managing company. What we do, what I saw is that I saw a huge niche of students who are huge online. They're huge on TikTok, they're huge on Twitter, they're huge on Instagram, they're huge even here on YouTube. And those students, they are brands themselves and they have huge audience. When I saw that, I wanted to ensure how can I capitalize on them? How can I make money from myself, from them, and also them earning from me? And I said, let me become a middleman. Let me get brands, small brands, big brands, everything in between that looking for influencers that have the student audience, that have the youth audience. And I became that. I became the middleman that goes out there, look for small businesses, middle businesses, big corporates that are looking to target the student audience. Not basically the youth audience, but students. Directly students. So I saw that niche on the market and I capitalized by creating Open Campus Agency. You can go through our website, it's opencampus.co.za, and be part of it, a big part of an influencer there yourself. You're looking for an agency for yourself. So I saw that niche, I saw that gap in the market and I capitalized on it. And the one thing that I was able to do is to show that I keep it as low maintenance as possible, as cheap as possible, and as niche market based as possible. Let me break it down what I mean that. Number one, niche based market. Open Campus.co.za focus on a specific niche students, not just students in general, but university students, not TVET college students or high school students, basically university students, public university students. And we looked at that, and we look at influencers that have a huge audience from students. And when we signed them, it became part of our agency. Then when I had them, I went out and looked for company that specifically are targeting students. For example, your incentive aid, your banks, your gifting companies, your clubs. I looked at them, I worked with them, because those people, those clubs, those gifting agency, incentive aid, all of them are targeting students. And how do they get students? They come to me, I go to a student influencers. I go to students that have influence and I connect them. And that's how I use it. And that's how I wanted to. And I wanted to be low maintenance as possible. So I looked for the most professional influencers as possible, and I got them and I signed them under me. Those are influencers that already are working on their own, and mostly nano one. I didn't want to go for the macro huge one because I can't deal with their egos, and also I can't go to small one, the nano ones, because at the two nano ones, because at the same time they're still new, they're trying to find their feet and they were looking for so much help. And myself, I'm a student, I don't have that time. So I wanted for those in between, meaning now I'm getting people already there but not really there, but are trying to find their feet, but they're already, yeah, if you're getting the sense of what I'm saying. So that's how I did it. And that's the niche market, and that's how low maintenance I wanted to be. And also under low maintenance, I didn't spend huge time into marketing it because I don't need to market myself. I don't need to market my business. My business is just a middleman. So what I did, I created a beautiful website for it, and it cost me 970 Rand using Host Africa. And that website was basically my database. People who send themselves in that website, and I only check people once every 2 weeks. I'll check who sign up to an influencer, who sign up and is looking for influencers, and that's just it. And I use Twitter, I use Instagram to search for other influencers myself, those who I want from other universities which I cannot get. At the same time, what I did is that in order to find clients, I created a portfolio based on my influencers. So I had a portfolio of how many influencers I have, how many students they can reach, how many young people in general can they reach, because we know influencers, as much as they are student themselves and a student audience, they're not only for that. So I have to also take into account that variables and take account all those variables and ensure that I also write them in a portfolio that speak to that language and understand the niche of every single influencer under my agency and what language they speak, what type of content do they put out, and just write it all down. And after that, I can just pitch to brands who are looking for, and I didn't go for huge brands. People are like, when I be nano influencers, and they want to go for a Nivea, they want to go for Shield, they want to go. I targeted businesses I know need the service, but they cannot afford huge influencers. Do you understand? I went to clubs. I went to banks that I know that are selling particular banking products to students. I went to those people and I formed a partnership with them and I worked with them. And I started small and I grew from them. So that's how I did it. And that's how I was able to do it. And the nice thing about it, that open campus is self-manageable. Basically, if I have a campaign that I'm doing, I just pitch it to my influencers, and that's like they know what to do. So that's how I started it. And in terms of even posters, if I'm doing with the clients and the clients want posters, they want this. There are free services online that do. I use in Canva so much. Like, guys, you don't understand. I designed almost everything on Canva, but I had to have the creativity of it. I had to work with other influencers to help me in terms of knowing how to create and use in Canva to the best of my ability. But there's so much more to it. So I use in Canva so much. I use MailChimp to ensure that I keep my influencers up to date with emails, and in order to ensure that I can speak to them directly but indirectly using MailChimp, sending email to to all of them at once, but it's personalized to each and every one of them. Those are the services I used. And I said I use AfroHost to host the website of my company. I pay 70 Rand per month and everything was spectacular. That's how I did it. And I was able to earn money from it, because if a client says, for example, we have 5,000 Rand when I work with 5 influencers, and this is the amount of money that we have. We don't have huge amount of, when we give them, for example, we'll give them free tickets to the event we're having in our club, but it's 5,000 Rand that we can actually pay them. Then we'll just give them free ticket at the end. And for me, I was like, okay, from that, I'll just take 100 Rand. I'll just take 100 Rand. And how 100 rand just go to the influencer that I just give 500, I just keep the 500 rand. And that's, if you look at that, for every single time I have such, I earn, man. It's little but something. And over time, I would used to get more and more, because now they start small, but they keep on growing and growing and growing. From the 5,000, now they're paying 10, now they're paying this amount of money. And that's how I did it. And it was building relationship. It was knowing the audience I'm speaking to. And also the influencers, what type of content they are putting out, able to analyze that, and able to have a portfolio, not a business plan. I still don't have a business plan. To have a portfolio of the type of services that I want, and the niche that I want, and the type of influencers that I have. I had a portfolio for that, and that's how I worked it. Even during the pandemic, it was the most busiest time for open campus. So that's how I started my business. I did it alone using my laptop. I didn't have thousands of money for it. As I said, it's 70 rand per month. I market it through Twitter, through Instagram, and I got the influencers through Twitter, Instagram, and I build a relationship with small businesses. Hence, I think, do not rush into becoming and work with big corporates. Just start with small. As I said, I started with small clubs. I started with small businesses from Twitter that was selling t-shirts. I remember the first client I had was making t-shirts. And I said, okay, I'll give your influencers all of them t-shirts. I'm saying I'll give them free t-shirt, and I'll just pay you 500 rand. And that was it. That was my first clients ever. Paid me 500 rand, gave my influencers t-shirt. My influencers were happy with that. They got freebies, they got nice t-shirts, and they sell and they help the small businesses. And as time goes on, I got other small business during the pandemic. Some were selling gifting, those care packages for June exam. They were selling all of those things, every single thing that they were selling. I was able to just say, if my influencers, you can give them a freebie and just add a trend on top. You can add this on top. Like, they're able, student influencers are happy with that. And for me, I get a small portion of it, and I'm happy with it. So that's how I started my business. That's how I did it. And that's the story. You don't need much, because you want to go big, but you don't want to start small. That's the beauty of me, that I started small. That's how I was able to do it, starting small. So that's how I did it. So thank you so much for watching. I'm Ivan Sambo, your student investor. But today we're just talking the personal side, personal entrepreneurship side of my life. Thank you so much.